Pranitha, firstly, I would like to warmly welcome you on Filme Shilmy. It's wonderful to be in conversation with you today.
Good to be here as well.
Lovely. So, first of all, a huge congratulations because you're set to make your Hindi debut soon, with, of
Yes.
course, Hungama too. And then as well, we will be seeing you in Bhuj as well, the Pride of India. So, I mean, tell me, Pranitha, what do you hope to kind of achieve through your stint in Bollywood?
First of all, I think because I come from the South and I've also worked in a number of South films, this is very different for me in terms of genre, whether it is Bhuj, which is a war film set in 1971, or whether it's Hungama 2, which is a comedy film with an ensemble cast. So I think both of them are absolutely different, and they're different from the films I've done so far as well. So I think in all ways, it's a new experience for me.
Absolutely. And I'm really glad you mentioned that whole different aspect as well, because I believe because the films are very different styles. I mean,
Yes.
they're both contrast with each other. I also presume that your roles will be significantly different as well from
Yes.
each other too. So tell me a bit about your characters in the film and your experience of working with the directors and the amazing cast on both the films.
So Bhuj has Ajay Devgan in the lead. It also has Sanjay Dutt and Sonakshi. It was really nice working with all of them because I've been a huge Ajay Devgan fan, and especially of his Golmaal series and all the comedy movies that he does more than the action films. But for me to get to share the screen with him was absolutely fantastic. So Bhuj is actually a biopic. It's a film about the situation that happened in 1971 between India and Pakistan, and so I play a Marathi wife in the film. So the look is entirely it's 1971 as well as it's Marathi with the nut and the sari and everything. So I think it's entirely different from anything I've done so far. And Hungama 2 is a complete contrast. I don't think you'll recognize me if you watch this film and then try to watch this one because it's entirely different. The look, the my behavior, and everything in the film.
Oh wow, that's very exciting. And plus Priya Darshan as well, is
Yes.
as we know, is a very, I mean, his films in South have always been great. And I think his films in
Right.
Bollywood too have always like had a lot of popularity as well. I mean, how was it like to kind of match with his comedic sort of vision as a filmmaker, so to speak?
So the good thing is that I don't think my character has any comedy to do, so I didn't have to try to be funny or any of that. So for me, it was more or less just about being this person that I am in the movie, and sort of she's more of a situational character, which it just takes the story forward. And in fact, none of the characters in Priya Darshan's film try to be funny. It's just the audience that finds everything funny. So because the movie as it is actually a story we're just saying. So yeah.
And it's quite special as well because I think it also is a film which also marks Shilpa Shetty Kundra's like comeback as well into cinema as well. I mean, she's got two films that she's making a comeback with as well. So that must have been quite special as well for you to kind of, I guess, work with her too, right? What was your rapport like with her? Do you share screen space with her at all in the film?
Yes. We share the screen. Apart from that, I think because we all had to travel to Manali, Ooty, and everything, so we all had a lot of time to spend, even if we didn't have too many scenes together. Like Paresh sir and I don't have any scenes together in the movie, but we had a lot of time that we could spend together because we're shooting outdoor, right? So anyone who's bored on, and especially post-COVID, when we had to shoot, all the actors had to land on the same day, and all of us had to wait there because there's all these COVID protocols. So we had a lot of time on hand and got a chance to interact with everyone. And of course, Shilpa is like such a riot to shoot with because she's such a live wire. She's spreading energy and she's inclusive. Even though I'm new, she makes sure I'm having fun and I'm included in every conversation. So I think she's amazing. And she's also like goals, I think, in terms of fitness and beauty and everything. So I really look up to her.
Yeah, no, I absolutely, even I do as well. But I think also the fact that, Pranitha, I wanted to speak a bit more about yourself actually, and you're a well-known face in the South Indian film industry as well. I mean, after achieving such success in that language of cinema, I mean, and because of the fact that you're now obviously foraying onto the Hindi space, how challenging does it kind of become for an actor who has worked before in a different language cinema to kind of create a sense of familiarity within the Hindi film industry, which is perhaps different to like what you've worked in before?
Right. Yeah, I think movies, a lot is luck based, so I really can't tell how successful anything would be. But that said, I think I'm just putting in my effort, and of course, yeah, my stint in South was definitely easier. Got a like quickly worked with many superstars down south, whether it was
Hmm.
Telugu, Tamil, or even Kannada. And Hindi, yes, of course, it's like an ocean, and I think there's a lot more people vying for the same role, from all over the country, from all the world, I think. So that kind of makes it a little more difficult, but I think it's worth it because obviously because it has better reach and it's a bigger platform, so it has to be harder. That's what I think.
Sure. And we're also now seeing an influx of South Indian actors who have or will be making their Bollywood debuts this year as well. Like, I mean, we had Samantha as well, who's going to be doing, who's in Family Man season 2 as well. There's so many other actors too. I think we also have another actor as well working with Shahid in Rajan DK's series.
Right.
So what do you think is the most appealing factor about this transition from South to Hindi cinema, and why do you think it is so appealing?
I think everyone, when they start off in the movies, their end goal is Bollywood because Indian cinema is synonymous with Bollywood all over the world. So that's where you want to be. But then, because I'm from the South, yes, we do watch a lot of South movies here, and it has its own market and it has a huge market as well. So that's why I started off here. But the end goal is always Bollywood. So everyone's always probably waiting for that big Bollywood debut all the time. And yeah, whenever it happens, take that big jump. So yeah.
I mean, did you ever also have that ambition कि हाँ मैं एक दिन मैं भी बॉलीवुड में काम करूंगी और बड़ी बड़ी फिल्मों में मतलब
Yeah,
मुझे हिस्सा मिलेगा? Did you ever have that sort of
absolutely.
wish?
Yeah, because I think now that South films are not just South films, they're also pan Indian. So now you know that it's
Yes.
easier to be a part of everything, and it's all based on the role. Nobody's really selecting. It's all like you can fit in anywhere. You never know where you'll fit in. So you could even fit into Hollywood now because it's just become so diverse.
Yeah.
You have like you never know, like a Spanish series like Money Heist making it so big. So you never know which series, what movie is going to make it big, which role is going to hit it off, and it's just like a very big ocean where you never know what's going to happen. So I think that's the best part about movies. And yeah, but yeah, I've always your question. I think I've always I kind of knew I'll make it in Bollywood because I think because that's we all know it has a space for everyone, so it has less
Yeah.
to do with beauty and all of that. It has more to do with where you can fit in.
Yeah, but do you know what, Pranita? I think one thing that I would love to kind of say is that I love the fact that South Indian films are so open to creativity and open to new
Yes.
content. They're not
Yes.
bogged down by the commercial returns and the whole eyeballs and all of that. They're not concerned by that at all. In fact, I've even noticed the fact that South Indian cinema is usually confident and brave with exploring their creative narratives, which sometimes perhaps Hindi cinema might not be as much. Why do you think this is the case? And do you think it's kind of changing now, that whole idea of being more
Yes,
creatively
it is
open?
changing. In fact, I feel that Hindi has Hindi is more diverse than South is because in South, like especially the bigger heroes, they will do a certain template when it comes to their movies, like the X number of fights, X number of songs. There's this one mass song, one introduction song, this many villains, this many. It's all such a stereotype. Versus, I think the newcomers, the younger lot, is trying to experiment and. The same with Bollywood. I think there's so much diversity. There's a Barfi, there's a Gully Boy, there's a I don't know that, like I'm when I'm listing out films I just go blank. But
Yeah,
there
no,
are
I get what you mean.
yeah, but this it's so diverse.
Yeah, I feel like now in Bollywood as well, and I think across Indian cinema as a whole, like the whole fact that um, you know, female actors are now taking center stage. Before there was a time when, even now as well, sometimes in South Indian cinema, but it's still very hero dominated. Like it still
Yeah.
takes a certain actor for people to come
Yes.
and watch at. Whereas if there was another female actor, people would not give as much credence to that. Would you agree with that?
Think that there is disparity in the paychecks and the attention that the hero and heroine are given. But that's it. I think it all depends on you, because it's all demand and supply. That's how, like any other business in this country. So I think that the hero is actually carrying the film on his shoulders, especially in the South, because the opening day, the number of people that walk into the theaters, it's entirely based on how popular and the market of the hero. So I think that's why he deserves the kind of importance, or like the kind of paychecks and everything that they take home, because they are the driving force of the film. And of course there are actresses, as we work and put in all our hard work, eventually whatever, we'll also end up building a certain market, and that's how everything else changes. So yeah, it all depends on you. I think that's how it is.
And I think a lot of hit South Indian films are subject to remakes nowadays, obviously to gain easy traction and to gain easy profit
Right.
as well. So does this kind of worry you as an actor as well? Perhaps the fact that knowing someone could be playing your role that you might have done in the South. I mean, does it
Oh, I'd
kind of?
love that. I'd love for someone to remake, because I've been a part of a lot of remakes where I have people have made have where I've had to watch the original and sort of not copy and yet be the same character. So that's what I've done so far. And then yeah, one or two films of mine have also been remade. But I think the girl in the film was entirely different. I think she was told to not watch the film or something like that, because we
Yeah,
usually told not to watch the originals, because you'll end up copying without realizing.
yeah.
So, and yeah, there's just one or two films. I know Attaranti Daredi was remade in Kannada and Tamil,
Hmm.
and but both the girls were very different from what I've done in the film. So yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And now I know, speaking a bit more about yourself, actually, I believe you were born to doctor parents, right? Your parents are
Right,
doctors.
right.
So, I mean, was it a conscious decision? How much of a conscious decision, rather, was it for you to actually become an actor?
Um, well, it was quite a fight at home, because when you have parents who are into academics, it's quite hard for you to push that and tell them that you want to do something else. And especially my family, nobody has been a part of the film industry. So everything that we know about the film industry is from the news, and you know what is being portrayed in the news.
Yeah.
So it was quite, at least luckily, okay, this year is not my debut year into the movies entirely. So this was like a lot of years ago. But even back then, it was quite hard for me to convince my parents and then tell them, okay, this is what I want to do. So eventually, we had to really, like, I had to, because it's summer holidays, and then that's how it started. And then one more film, and then I moved to another city, and then yeah, that's how I had to go about it, because there's no way I could have told, hey, I want to do this for a career, and then my dad would be like, oh, okay. So that's no way that would have happened. So yeah.
So it was obviously, it came with a bit of a fight then, didn't it, for you to kind of
Yes.
get their approval and their blessing, right?
Yes.
Wow, incredible. Now, in fact, I'm glad you mentioned as well the struggles aspect, because I feel like the journey of working in the industry is never easy, I think, for any
Yes.
actor,
Yes.
So there's always, I believe, some kind of dark struggle kind of period involved as well. I mean, what type of challenges did you have to overcome in your journey so far?
I think the fact that I was really, really young. So the first struggle was that I had to convince my parents right after my schooling. Like I was 16 when I got my first film, and it was easy to convince in a way, because I was so young that I did not know what issues I possibly could have. I was just excited that I'm going to be playing the lead in a movie, and they also had a superstar from Canada for my first film. So I was really excited. And then so this first struggle was to convince my parents. The second one, I think that I was so young that we did not know how to go about things. I was just like, yeah, finish shooting, okay, come back home, very, very linear. And then right after that, I was under a contract that I can't do another film until the release of the first film. So then because of that, I had to move to Telugu, because I got an offer from there immediately, and that's not part of the contract. So moving to another city, learning a new language altogether, debuting there. So I think it's everything has been, I wouldn't call it a struggle. I would call it challenges. And they're fun that I had, fun challenges that you have to beat, because now I can properly speak Telugu, or whether it was Hindi, like you have to really figure out moving into another city like Bombay,
Mm,
figuring out a new team for yourself, figuring out a new language. As much as Hindi is common, it is quite a new language for me. So
wow.
there's so much that I had to, yeah, because हम यहाँ पे हिंदी बात करते हैं, but there is a little difference. There is a little there is an accent and all that I had to overcome, and I had to learn Urdu so that my Hindi accent also improved. So there's a lot of things that I had to do. So I think these were challenges, but they were nice that I had to do these. And yeah, like you said, it is a struggle because I think in the film industry you can't really predict which film you'll be doing. You don't know how a film's success will affect your next film.
Exactly.
So these things have always been there, but then, like I said, I think eventually my parents became really supportive, and the fact that I have sorted parents really did not put any burden on me that I had to I didn't have to worry about things. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, very well said, actually. And I think it is important to have that support because you need someone to go back to, because like you said, it's just so unpredictable with this industry in particular that you need to have a good family to go back to, a secure house to go back to. So I completely understand that sentiment too. But obviously, given the fact that you have been working as an actor for many, many years now, what would you say satisfies you the most about this profession? I mean, what would you say is also perhaps the role that really was the game changer for you?
I think it would be, okay, my debut was like a game changer because it was successful right away. So that was one thing. And the next thing that really made a huge difference was Attarantik Daridi with Pawan Kalyan. So he happens to be a very huge star in Telugu. And I think the day I signed the film, I had 2 lakh followers the next morning. So
wow.
Popular he is. And he's like Rajinikanth and Rajinikanth in the South. He's extremely popular, extremely he's one of the stars who has a crazy fan following. And so when I signed the film, that was the reaction. And then by the time the film also went on to become the most successful Telugu film of all time. So before Bahubali, it was one of the first few 100 crore grossers in Telugu. So like, in fact, the first one, I'm guessing, like you should, I'm not really sure if it was, but it was before Bahubali, it was the highest grosser ever. So for that film to even become successful was like a huge difference to my career, and then brands and everything that followed. But yeah, of course, eventually, like it really depends on the next few films, and then now there's Bollywood, so fingers crossed and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say gives you the satisfaction then of being an actor?
The fact, okay, this is completely off topic, but then, so I don't know if you know about our NGO and Pranitha Foundation that I do a lot of work.
Yes.
So, and I think that is what gives me satisfaction in a way that I'm able to use my resources, use the popularity and everything that I have towards doing anything for the society. So that is something that really keeps me happy. Apart from that, yes, of course, being in the film industry, getting to work with different people every 3 months, you get a new team, new actors that you've revered or you've grown up watching, and then for you to get to work with them. So in every way, I think it's satisfying, giving you so much so much contentment. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned your NGO actually, because you're also a philanthropist, for which I believe you've even adopted schools to provide best infrastructure as well for them. Right. So, I mean, what significance does this cause have on you as a person?
So the particular school that I have adopted, basically my father studied in a government school in Hassan, so small town, and I got a call asking if if there's anything we could do to revive it, and if there's any financial support I could be giving them. And that's when I thought, okay, why not just adopt it instead of making small changes? So that's how it started. Then I thought, okay, there were many more schools that came to us and they said, can you please help us out, paint the school, revive it? And then it became bigger numbers. And then we also had more support from everywhere. So I really think that really made a difference about like the whole Save the Government Schools movement that we did.
Oh, wow. That's great. I mean, has there been any new advancements or developments on the course?
I think that is something that's a constant. So every month we provide them with English teachers, with a transport system so that people from the far off villages can also come there, and then water connection, painting the school. Painting the school is a one-time thing, but everything else is a concurrent thing every month. So that's one commitment I take care of every year.
I think that's really good. I think bravo to you for setting that up, because I think it's important, especially now, especially with lockdown and the pandemic as well. I think a lot of kids' lives have definitely been affected by it, especially those perhaps who cannot afford to perhaps go to school and stuff. So perhaps this is a very good sort of course to kind of help them as well, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful, fantastic. But I think on a final note, Pranitha, going forward, what other projects can we look forward to seeing you in?
So there are a lot of projects, especially OTT, series as well as movies that we've been offered, and we're really looking forward to it. Let's see. I'd like to talk about things only once it's finalized, so I'll just give it that weight.
Absolutely. No, I totally understand, especially if you have to sign like NDAs as well, where you cannot
Yeah.
disclose any information. I
Yes.
totally,
Yes.
totally get
Now everything is so confidential that it's just like we have to wait until they tell us when to talk about it.
Yeah, you're literally like a James Bond, just getting your next assignment, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, fantastic. But Pranita, it was so wonderful to have this chat with you,
Yeah.
and I'm very excited for your stint in Bollywood. I think you've been fab in South Indian cinema anyway, and I think I'm hoping your journey in Hindi cinema will be just as fruitful, if not more. And looking forward to Hungama 2 and Bhuj as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Nice talking to you too.